All right, let's go to Jacob here. College Station, Texas. Are you an Aggie?
I am
Ah, nice.
in college right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so we got a home game
Okay.
on that Poker 2 app
Okay.
online, kind of similar to a live
Yep.
type dynamic,
Yeah, this
not
is this.
on.
So Poker 2 is like one of these ones where it's sort similar to like Poker Bros and what was the other big one before those two? The name escapes me. What the hell was I thinking? There's another big one too, where these app games that proliferated, you know, during COVID and stuff like that. Some will have like clubs and unions where you can play open player pools, like some bros. Some will just be home games. I think Poker 2 is sort of like that. The interesting thing about Poker 2 was like the ability to like flick up your cards, right? Can't you do like peek your cards on there or something like that
Yeah,
on the phone? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Accidentally, I was having problems with the dynamics, and I folded a full house earlier that
Yeah,
session.
I was playing in
Check out.
a home Big O game with that feature turned on, and I screwed something up, and I shut it off immediately. I'm not going to deal with this shit. All right, so
Yeah.
what's the size of the game?
So it's a 2-4 game that about midway through the session we added the $8 straddle.
So
So
two,
two,
four,
four,
eight.
eight.
Okay, and you know all
And
the players in the game pretty much.
no, this was actually my first session in the game, so it was pretty. Everyone was pretty new to me at the time.
So, but I mean, is this an open player pool, or were you like invited to the game?
I was invited. I
Okay,
know someone in the game.
okay, all right. So 2, 4, 8, and what's the effective stack?
It's 1424.
Okay, so you guys are pretty deep, huh?
Yeah, it's 800 match by. So we both.
So 14. I'm going to put 1425
Okay.
effective. Okay, so 2, 4, 8. Okay, yep.
So it's five-handed at the moment. We're pretty late in the night.
Okay.
So it folds to me in the small blind
Uh huh.
with Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs.
Okay.
So I ripped 3x with standard open.
Raise to 24.
And so, yep.
Okay.
And then the bid blind, who I'd later find out is about the only other good red in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He'd been 3-betting me a lot that night, so he 3-bets me to 100.
So he's the middle blind
Then,
though, right? The straddle is to his left,
yes,
right? Okay. So the straddle folds.
yes, straddle folds, and
Uh-huh.
then I need to be 4-betting this off, I think, especially in that middle blind, but I made the mistake and I call.
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. You know, it's funny, right? Like you can go to some websites. I forget the name off the top of my head. Maybe somebody in the live chat can help me. I think it's Range Converter or something like that, where they've run
Yep.
all of these sort of simulations about pre-flop optimal in different situations. Like I've actually seen them have like a 3-blind non-ante 8-handed game before because I remember looking at the Chinese app. So they've run all this raw sort of monker stuff on servers about what is optimal pre-flop. So you probably could find what is, you know, an optimal response here to a middle blind 3-bet. I don't know the fucking answer off the top of my head. The only
Yeah.
I think the practical thing that you'd say, you know, you hit the nail on the head in the sense that this is probably a wider 3-bet from the middle blind than if you had raised and then the straddle 3-bet you after the middle
Right.
blind folded.
Right. Straddle, gotcha.
Because he really should be playing a lot of 3-bets here, right? He shouldn't really. And now I
Right.
don't know if that dynamic exists. I would tend to say at 150 big blinds. Now you are out of position here too. I don't know how often this would be 4-bet. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously you're just going to
Yeah.
4-bet get it in. You're never going to fold, right?
Right. So I saw him show down a few times where he was 3-betting out of the middle blind, Queen Jack suited, kind of those middling
Mm-hmm.
broadways. So
Well,
I
yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
as he should,
It's
right?
close.
As he
Yeah,
should.
as he should.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really have a problem with your call here, to be honest with you. So, yeah, he 3-bets to 100 and you call, so the pot's like 200 and change or something.
Yep.
Okay.
200 and change.
Okay.
The flop comes Queen of Hearts, 6 of Clubs, 3 of Diamonds.
Queen of Hearts, 6 of Clubs, 3 of Diamonds, and you've got Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs, right? So, rainbow board.
Rainbow board.
Okay.
So I check him flow.
Mm-hmm.
He goes third pot, so 62. And then I don't think there's nothing to do but call.
Right.
Here.
So, big blind bet 62. And hero calls. The one thing I will just say about this is that yours would be probably a square call. You will sometimes see if you had like a hand like 5-6 of diamonds here, 7-6 of diamonds, but I think 5-6 would be slightly better because of the little backdoor straight draw. You will sometimes see hands check raised here for sort of a semi bluff / protection. Some of that
Right.
middle pair hand type of thing with a backdoor. You'll see it sometimes in shallower situations in tournaments. You can continue on a lot of turns. That's actually a better hand to do it with because it needs way more protection than Jack Jack. Plus, if you're behind, if you have a 5-out draw, and if you count that as actually as a 6-out draw because of the backdoor, you have 3 times more equity with 5-6 suited to improve versus a better hand than Jack Jack than if you had Jack Jack, right? Because with Jack Jack, you only
Right.
have 2 outs. Whereas
Right.
with 5-6 suited, if we count the backdoor, it's like 6 outs. Just something of
Yeah.
note. But obviously, your hand seems to be a square call. So
Right.
62 and a call. So now the pot is what, one? Excuse me,
332.
332. Okay. Yep.
So we go to the turn, and the turn's actually a pretty good card for me, I think. It's the Queen of Clubs, so it kind of reduces his top pairs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it should shut a lot of stuff down here too. Now, but one of the things you do have to realize though is this is a very wide configuration in the sense
Right.
that like he
He still
pro
has
he
huge
probably has
queen.
as many queens as you do defending, right?
Right.
Different from like a tighter configuration where probably the defender has more queen X than the 3-better because the 3-better will have a tighter range in 3-betting. But here, he's going to be V-pipping, or he should probably be V-pipping his entire range as a 3-bet, and it's a wide configuration. So, you know, range / nut advantage, I think it's still probably very, very
Right.
close,
Right.
I mean, and the other thing, too, is that usually, like, the guy who's defending to a 3-bet will have more of these sort of underboats in a regular situation, like opening 6s or 3s,
Right.
because somebody wouldn't 3-bet those in the field. But here again, I think he's doing all that. I mean, I don't know what he would do with 3s, but probably still should be played as a 3-bet. Okay, so Queen of Clubs, backdoor club draw. Okay.
So I check.
Mm-hmm.
He bets small, 160, smallish again, 165.
So now he goes half pot. Is that right?
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
And so I still think it's a square cut call. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think Raisin's just, again, he has too many queens still.
No, I mean, I don't think you can raise it. I'm just interested with these stack sizes starting at 150 BBs. Usually you don't, this size is usually not reflected in from him. It's usually on the turn. You're usually going to be using large betting size or sort of
Right.
1/3 betting size. So it's interesting that he goes half. But yeah, you got a call again here, right? So hero calls.
Yep.
So 330 you put in the turn. So now the pot's like 662, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. The river.
And then so the river double pairs the board. It's the 6 of hearts.
6 of hearts.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I check, and then he goes half pot again at 298.
So hero checks and straddle, or excuse me, big blind bets like I'm gonna say 300, but I know it's
Yeah.
half the size of the pot, so he bets 300 here. So what I find interesting here is that there really isn't that many. I was gonna say there really aren't draws out here on the flop all that much. If there was more of a draw on the flop, what I was gonna say is that once the board gets double paired, in a lot of situations, you can now take out ace high from your opponent's bluffing range because they would just think that they have showdown value and check back, right, in a given
Right.
situation. Then you have to start to look at what are the pairs and what pairs are counterfeit. So he should be checking back ace high more when the 6 pairs at the end versus if a 3 paired at the end. Because if the river was a 3, now 4s and 5s play. But now if the river's a 6, 4s and 5s don't play, right? He's got ace high and he wins. Just very, very subtle things here. I would be surprised if he continues to bluff here with ace high. I would be to get you off of 7s, 8s, 9s, something like that. It would kind of be surprising. So personally,
I wasn't. Would you bet off with aces and kings there here if you're the bid blind.
Well,
I wasn't sure he'd even be betting with aces and kings and
I like to bet. I
well,
would like to bet kings more than aces. Do you know why? If I was your opponent,
yeah, because I could have the backdoor club draw.
I think. Well, you're sort of on track. I think that I will when the board were to run out like this. I'm trying to get called by ace highs. So if I
Right.
have
Okay.
kings,
Yeah,
you can have more ace highs, right?
right.
If I have aces, you don't.
Yep.
With that being said, would I bet aces or kings in a spot like this? If I feel like my opponent is not cagey enough to just check call the whole way down with queen X, I very well might put in a small value bet. The problem here at the end though too is that you have 6x probably too sometimes.
Right.
Like if you have ace 6 or 5 6 and you check call flop, you're definitely supposed to still stick around on the turn, I think, to this sizing. So that's another hand you lose to from your opponent's perspective if he has a big pair. This is just a spot where, okay, you can look at it from pot odds perspective. You know, you're going to get more than 3-1. So you got to be good 1 out of 4 times. Then we take a look at an MDF perspective, which is minimum defense frequency. The guy is betting half the size of the pot. So he only really needs to be correct, or you have this get through 33% of the time for it to be a profitable bluff. It's actually even less than that because it's 300 into 662. So your counter to that is the reciprocal, which means that you need to defend with 66% of the hands that you get here with. And it's probably 70-30 given the sizing. So it's like, does jacks fall into the top 30%, the top 70% of hands that you get here with played like this? I think it would probably be yes. So if you don't know anything about the guy, you probably just have to call down, close your eyes and call. Yeah. One other thing too of note here is that it's easier to bluff online. There is no shame when somebody bluffs online. And I do feel that that is a factor in why the bluffing frequency is probably far less than what is sort of optimal in live poker because there's shame in it. Whereas, if someone gets caught, they feel bad, they don't want to get embarrassed. Whereas online, that doesn't exist. So that's why you can see some more maniacal play. So what ended up happening? What did you do?
So I ended up folding. I think I thought back to live, like you were saying, and I think it's so under bluff live that I kind of let him have it. But I think this probably ends up being a call down hand. So I showed to try and get him to show, and he never showed. So I don't know what take of that, but
so you never found out what he had.
Never found out what he had.
Interesting. All right, I'm surprised when you did the talk through. I'm really surprised. I thought you were going to call down there. Really surprised.
I think I came to that conclusion after.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, and check out the coupon code in the description to try out the Crush Live Poker training site for free.